there is a debate happening in every single B2B services company. Someone else says partnerships doesn't scale. Someone says cold outbound is dead. Both are just asking the wrong question. The right question, which channel does your specific market require right now? Not which channel you're comfortable with, not which one the team has done before, and what does the market actually respond to? By the end of the video, you'll have a diagnostic. 4 variables that read together, give you the answer, work for any B2B company, any stage from pre-seed $1 million plus, no opinion, just variables here. And so, brief background behind me, I've been at 2 multi-billion-dollar organizations, spent years as an account executive, full stack AE, expect to close deals and build my own pipeline simultaneously. Very little SDR support, very little systematic structure, sending emails between calls, chasing leads, doing 2 jobs. And so now I help clients from pre-seed all the way to typically higher mid-market, kind of solve these bottlenecks, the same issues I'm facing with when it comes to doing direct outbound while also balancing partnerships as well. And so most companies I talk to have already tried both channels, but in different silos, or they're not really conjoined or really working together, right? So they tried outbound, it's worked for a while, then stopped. They might have got burned by a lead gen agency before, and that's the typical objection we get because we are seen as the lead gen agency, which it makes sense, right? We technically are, but it goes a little deeper than that. They've tried partnerships before, they signed agreements, but nothing activated. All right, story of your life. I'm sure if you're a CRO or an account executive or whatnot, you've had those conversations with partners. Like, yeah, let's make a bunch of money, and they don't really make a bunch of money. Yeah, so I've been part of those conversations before, and I've helped other people kind of get past that, and I know how to get past it now. And so they've concluded the channels are kind of broken or doesn't really work for them, which is just not true. They just don't know how to actually work it together. And so the channels work, the channel selection was wrong, and that's what this video is typically about. And so I actually have built out a board specifically, helping beautiful Claude, basically are around 4 different variables that you guys can work with that will help you understand what, based on your offer and based on what position you are in the market for your particular offering, what channel is going to serve the best dividends, right? And so disclaimer, right? This is based on data that we worked with that has worked for us and our clients, right? If something works for you, go for it, right? Disclaimer. Anyways, so let's dive a little deeper, right? And so, oh my goodness. All right, let's dive. All right, so I'm doing too much. All right, so cool. All right, I'm gonna make this off the riff now, no more editing. But basically, there's 4 variables, right? Your total addressable market size of how many people you can reach out to, your average deal size, your market awareness, which plays a huge factor, and then ecosystem density as well. And so we'll dive into the first one, which is the variable 1, which is like the total addressable market. So ideally, right, if you have a total addressable market of, let's say, above 20K people you can reach out to, outbound is going to serve very, very good dividends for you. And not to say that if you have a total addressable market that's below that, it won't work. What you'll find is you'll have to do a lot more what's called ABM or account-based marketing, which is very much individual, silo by silo. Like you are very, very, you can't hammer them with your offer because based on your market stage, it might not work as well. You have to leverage a lot of more touch points and better quality touch points, if that makes sense. Like cold email might not resonate with an ABM level type customer. And so an example could be like, let's say you have a total addressable market of 5K people and you're at a really super niche market of like, let's say cybersecurity, or not niche, but saturated like cybersecurity, right? You're going to find yourself that you're going to have to deal with a lot more touch points where it's going to rely on like the partner network or the referrals or in person versus just direct outbound offering, because the market has become so used to of offerings of your sort. They've kind of labeled you in one bucket. And so the way you kind of differentiate, especially when you go enterprise as well, you're going to find that when you go enterprise, that the touch points are going to matter a lot more as well in terms of quality, because you have to prove to you, like everyone wants those bigger companies, right? Because they pay higher deal sizes. And so, your competitors are doing the exact same thing. How do you differentiate? And if you have a lower TAM size, right, you can't really afford the economies of scale of, let's say, reaching out to like 100K people, right? So outbound, really good. I also say even if you do have a total addressable market above 20K, that partners is a huge, massive factor. And I've kind of dived in a little bit deeper as to why. But let's say like you layer in partners month 2 to 3, you're going to notice that like the actual deal volume that you have, depending if there's so many variables, but like depending if you're like let's say like let's use software for example. If you're PLG or sales led, which is like pay, like they self-serve pay, or they're sales led, where it's like they have to go through a demo call funnel. If they're self-serve, right, we're gonna heavily rely on the affiliate networks where it's like, all right, let's just pump as much volume as possible, and then a certain percentage of how do you properly activate affiliates. If it's a sales model, right, it's a lot more co-selling, kind of working on deals together. And so what you're gonna notice that even if, right, let's say the PLG model might not apply as much for the affiliate sense, but let's just say like the sales model, for example, where if you recruit a partner, right, and they're like, hey, let's do work together, they care about their own business, right? Like they're not going to care about you. And so like the difficulty that like I literally experienced with the client where it's like we got them in front of other partners that are really high fit, and they're like, oh, they just want us to refer this business. Well, no shit, they care about their business, right? Like that's just the end of the game. Like everyone only cares about their own top of line. And so the idea is like, don't get mad at the game if that's a game you have to play. Play the game, but build a system in which the game can actually help you in the long term. Because I'm assuming if you're a business owner or if you're a CRO, like you're not looking to grow, let's say, within this corner. Of course, you want to grow within this quarter. But like if, let's say, you take one step back to take 10 steps forward versus just taking 1.5 steps, right, this quarter, but you always taking 1.5 steps. Like you're going to do more by taking a step back, and taking a step back in the sense of like give your leads, right? Like introduce partners in certain situations, right? If you know it can help your customer, a better together story, do so. And so that's one thing. I mean, if you're under 5K, right, like partners, the reason why people use partners is that trust factor. And so like if you had to think about your friend, right? If your friend referred to you to this barber shop, right? Like, oh, give me a sick haircut, right? You're more than likely to be like, all right, let me go actually check this out, versus like some random review on Google, right? Or the barbershop reaching out to you, right? Do you believe your own friends, or do you believe the person who's trying to sell you something, right? So that's where partners come. It's a trust factor. It works in every single market stage, in my opinion. But it really, really is a key driving factor, especially when you go more upmarket, as well as when you get more saturated in terms of the industries. And so this is also deal size as well. If it's under 10K, outbound can work really, really well. I don't know if I fully agree with this actually, now that I'm looking at this. I think it works in all aspects. Outbound works in all aspects as well. What you're going to notice, though, is a straight caveat, which is... let me move this little recorder thing, is something so beautiful that it's your CAC, right? It's your CAC, customer acquisition cost, right? This is going to be something that's huge in the aspect of when you decided what growth channel to go into. And so what you're going to notice when you are dealing with, let's say, partners or outbound, right? Or using paid ads, right? Whatever acquisition channel you're looking at the cost to acquire a customer, what that net margin looks like when you have that profit in line, when you actually close that deal. So let's just say your CAC to LTV. LTV is lifetime value of a customer. You calculate that based on what's your average deal size and how many months, depending if you're annual or monthly, whatever it is, right? How long they stay for you, multiply that. That's your LTV. LTV to CAC, what's that ratio look like? Let's say, you have a 100K LTV, right? 100K LTV. And your CAC is now, let's say, like $2,000, right? It costs you $2,000 to acquire one customer that at the lifespan of them purchasing with you, they spend 100K, right? Then you have roughly like, I'm kind of dumb here. Okay, it's like 50 to 1. 50 to 1 LTV to CAC, right? Forgive the drug, I'm not an artist. But like 50 to 1 LTV CAC, right? That's how you decide that. Now, what you're going to notice is that partners are actually going to drive this down. They're going to drive this up. They're going to drive the CAC down. Partners bring CAC down because cost to acquire a customer is going to be significantly lower because, and your LTV actually might be a little higher because they help you reduce churn, they help increase ACV, blah, 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 right? But realistically, what you're going to notice, though, is that partners help you in terms of deal sourcing as well, but not just top of the funnel deal sourcing, but like winning and close rates. There's so many different factors. And so what you'll look at for outbound specifically is, I think this is actually switched, to be honest. Or I don't know. This is actually just wrong. I apologize. This is wrong. But basically, like this all works in different aspects, right? Outbound warms it up. I will say this, right? If you're below 1 million or you're not pre-seed or backed or like you will have product market fit. Honestly, product market fit doesn't really happen until 5 million, in my opinion. Just for data we've seen for companies and like we've worked with companies under 5 million, and it's just like it's night and day, right? Until you have product market fit, I would really hesitate to bring on partners unless you're a PLG who's doing affiliates, and like it's a very, very like low touch kind of partner model. The reason I say that is because partners are their own sales cycle. They're their own like growth channel and program. But the difference between like, let's say cold email and partners is the aspect of like, you're dealing with other humans now. You're dealing with a whole different set of people where you have to build 0 to 1, where it's like, ideally, it's almost like starting from scratch for your own like business, where you have to like almost build like partner case studies. Like this partner achieved XYZ because they partnered with us, right? Because at the end of the day, people only care about their top line. So you're actually serving a product to partners as well, but the product is not necessarily your actual offering to the market direct wise. Let's say you sell cybersecurity, right? You're not selling, let's say, an email security solution. You're selling the aspect of, we're going to help you actually increase your overall top line revenue, because if you sell through us, or you recommend our solution, or you go to market with our solution, now you get access to a new customer, and that new customer is going to be another avenue for you to sell your like cabling, your networking, whatever it may be, right? That's a factor which you look at. And so, when we look at what kind of growth channels you want to go for deal sizing, I say if it's self-serve, affiliate models, partners play really, really well. Outbound you can do as well, right? It's just like you're going to notice a lot more economies of scale when you go through an affiliate network. That's why you can look at like a lot of B2C products, a lot of business to consumer products work really well with affiliates. Let's say, using both, I think like honestly, when they're above 50K, right? I wouldn't say rarely closes this, but Outbound does service the intent, right? Like there's one thing where it's like the higher deal sizes there are, obviously there might be, I wouldn't say more competition, but there might be more intense competition. How longer sales cycles, longer buying journeys, and those longer buying journeys, unless you're really dialed in with your sales process, which to be honest, I worked in multi-billion-dollar organizations, like it trickles down. I'm not to say that they're bad by any means, because they're probably more mature than the majority, but like unless they're fully dialed in, right? It's you need those extra touch points from other people, right? So that's why like Deloitte or McKinsey or these consulting firms make a lot of money, because their arbitrage is just advice and lending an ear. There's people like I literally had I kid you not, right? When I first started this agency, I literally had like a 2 trillion, no, I won't say trillion, 14 billion. I don't know why I said 2 trillion. A $14 billion organization come, like I cold email outreach them, right? And they were looking just to recruit partners for a specific niche that they had, a specific niche offering that they had, because they just acquired that kind of company. And there's only like their TAM, the total addressable market for partners they had was like maybe like 15, right? So super like low scope of like how many people could reach out to. But the reason why they did that is because they knew that if they had someone who could lend a conversation to the ear, lend an ear to the conversation, not only for the buying journey for the customer, but also for the value proposition of when they go and try to sell their product. When you get more and more enterprise, you become more and more consultative, right? You're not just like selling a quick buck solution. You're solving a whole problem. You're solving a huge transformational problem, especially when you go enterprise. Like that has downstream effects if you do not do a good job. So they take that decision very, very seriously. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And then market awareness, right? I actually did do a little section here because I know some people don't understand what market sophistication looks like in different aspects. Let's see, what else did I do here? Yeah, okay. So, when we look at the stages of 5 stages of market sophistication, with some obviously channel nuance, right? So there's 5 stages you're gonna notice, right? So there's stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 is gonna be like, it's gonna be unaware, right? Which is, did I even put this here? This is so, yeah, okay. Let me just Google this real quick. Patient market awareness, and so I can just show you guys what that looks like, right? So there's going to be unaware, problem aware, solution aware, product aware, most aware, right? So everyone goes through the buying journey and go based on your kind of solution offering you're giving. Like let's say like if you're a lead gen service, right? You're going to be more of like a product aware or most aware, purely for the aspect of everyone's kind of heard it, right? It's a lot more saturated. But let's say like you're a bungee jump software that helps you increase your revenue by $20 million, right? Like I'm unaware of a company like that, right? So they're typically more unaware, right? Maybe more problem aware at that aspect, but the idea is like, yeah, like you go through these different stages of funnels. And so when we look at these different 5 stages, right? So stage 1 is going to be no felt pain. They're not searching for anything. There's not reading. Cold outbound is a closed mechanism. It could work, but if they don't understand they have a problem, you can't make up desire. You can only channel desire. And so, as an education play with a standalone value offer, it can create the awareness of it, but to really drive home revenue at that kind of avenue, it's going to be very, very difficult. And that idea is like, I don't track how good an offer is based on how many meetings it generates. I track an offer based on how much it converts to customers. So like I think if you guys see one of my LinkedIn posts, like I was a pure partnership consulting firm. And so it's a fantastic offer because I think it's a lot more blue ocean than typical lead gen. And it's a serious problem, right? Because converting and activating partners is really difficult. Now, the difficulty in that was that it was hard to show an ROI because they were more stage 2 in this aspect, but it was difficult because I had to almost educate people like why they have to do certain things or what they have to go versus like direct outbound lead gen, which is like very, very simple. It's like, hey, we email them, you set it up on your calendar, you talk to them, you close them. That's it. The partners is a little bit more nuanced, there's more dance and yeah, blah, blah, blah. But basically, it can work here if the offer delivers standalone value, a diagnostic, a free insight, a tool, basically something to raise their hand without requiring the buyer to actually feel pain they don't have yet. You're creating awareness. And so outbound works is really good as an outbound mechanism, but partners and referrals really work well because then what it will do is that trust factor of like, oh, I don't have that problem. But maybe it's a trusted person or a trusted IT services person or whatever it is, that partner will be like, yeah, I think you should look into this solution. I think you should purchase this because of X, Y, Z. Is another data point for them to actually go down. And so stage 2, buyers feel the pain but can't name the solution category. Sweet spot for cold outbound, copy that names the symptom precisely, creates instant recognition. And so there's some examples, right? Like, go-to-market engineering, B2B influencer marketing, which is humongous, by the way. Sales engagement, pre-outreach era, talking about the CAC portion. But like even a mediocre offer gets replies here because the market is receptive. A strong offer can clean up. I would say honestly, the partnership pure thing was actually more stage 2, where I really I had no business getting meetings with people who were like $14 billion companies, right? Like I'm 25 years old. I just turned 25. The offer was really good though, and that's why they talked to us. And so this is the highest leverage environment for outbound investment in my particular opinion. I would really push towards outbound primary. I mean, we're with clients who do outbound in different stages as well. We try to really avoid stage 5 because it's really saturated, which I'll get into. But like, it's very, very difficult. This you're going to notice though is like, it's very much it's a CAC play, right? Obviously, if you want to do paid ads, if you're like, self-serve, that's obviously going to pay a little bit more dividends. Paid ads for, I'd say if you're more mainly sales-led, I primarily prefer like one-to-one direct outreach. But yeah, that's just what it is. And then stage 3, they know a solution exists. Inboxes are pretty saturated with it. I would say that's where lead gen kind of gets in here. Age-12 compares the same inbox simultaneously. Reply rates drop, but a differentiated offer with precise ICP, targeting, copy, tied to specific trigger still breaks through, right? So like, again, typical lead gen or cybersecurity today, the bar is higher, but it's not impossible. There's a lot more skepticism here. And so a specific trigger-based copy to a precisely classified ICP can still drive strong reply rates. Differentiation in the offer does the work the market receptively used to do. And so the default channel is honestly both, right? And partners are pretty urgent here. So like, a partner war intro bypass the entire filter entirely, right? Like if I were to get referred, like I get a couple of referrals, I don't have to go through the whole BS process of like, oh, like, well, are you different from other lead gen agencies? Am I going to get burned? Blah, 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 right? Like I don't have to go through that process because I'm already differentiated. I have someone to really trust that kind of, I've earned trust with someone else who can then refer me to someone else. Outbound works with a strong offer and a tight, ICP you're reaching out to. Pretty standard. And so stage 4 is like, they know your product, they have an opinion, they just haven't possibly moved yet. Cold outbound is the least efficient here. In my personal opinion, they've already processed your existence and chose not to act. Timing and trust close this, not necessarily the copy and the offer. So this is actually where like, there's a fantastic guy in cold email named Taylor Heron, which I highly recommend checking out. He's a super, super genius about this kind of stuff. But when it comes to cold email, right, what his thesis is behind every 30, 60 days, you message your TAM with the same offer, and they might not be ready to buy today, but you build up a pipeline to buy tomorrow. And so that's what any good business really do is, we'll really look at like, how can we continually build a pipeline that's still get in front of our customers or prospects that, yes, listen, like they're not going to be able to move maybe today or may not have as much like pain to move today. So a good reframe I like to think is like, Like when you're in the sales process, your goal for the sales process is like, okay, the current state that they're in is not painful enough for them to move right now, this second. Those are just give you the credit card right there. The goal for the sales call is to help channel that pain and desire to showcase and change their state to make it seem like, okay, it hurts more being the same than it hurts changing. If I change, I'm going to experience less pain. And so that's kind of like what we're looking at here, where Outbound can work with a compelling new angle or trigger, competitor switch, new integration, in case they're the exact segment, something that kind of edge them out. But you're going to notice also partners are kind of primary at this aspect as well. Like I remember my own days, like, there are people like, yeah, we know we need email security, so we just have so much we have to go after. But like we had partners who like, hey, like check out the solution. We got an intro right there, right? And they got them to move. They had the need. They knew the value of the offer. But to actually get them to move, you need sometimes a trusted advisor to kind of like get going. And so, stage 5, they're ready to act. It needs a reason to move now on a final trust signal. The deal is half sold already. Execution and co-sell kind of close it. Outbound to intent flagged accounts can start the conversation effectively here. And so outbound, in my personal opinion, starts the conversation. It can close the conversation, but it is cold traffic. So the trust vehicle that you're at, like if you think of every single sales conversation you're at, you're gonna notice like the continuum that you're at, like where it's like, all right, they start here, right? So when you email them, oh my God, you email them, right? You email them over here. They're at this point of trust, right? They're at this point of trust, right? And so your goal for the sales call is to get there. But if you have someone, a partner who can help you kind of move faster in this aspect or help you start here, right? Why would you not do that, right? And honestly, the customer acquisition cost will be lower, and there's a possible chance of your ACV, your average deal size, to be higher because there might be certain aspects of like, upselling or cross-selling to other product lines that you're like, oh, like, again, I use cybersecurity for example, right? Because I'm just so used to it. But let's just use my own purchasing for example, right? Like, I had a call last Friday where it's like, all right, they need help recruiting affiliates or referral partners for their software, and they're a pretty big company. They're roughly like 100 million, and so I also mentioned they're like, oh, I saw on your website you also do CRM stuff. I'm like, yeah, we will help you build out like a partner aspect, the partner dashboard, because sometimes it gets expensive. You go through other tools, and they're like, oh, cool. Like, I think I'd be interested in that. Now, if I had a partner in that aspect, right, I'd be more likely to close it. Right, the deal's still going, but you get the process of what I'm thinking at, right? And so, when we go through here, SMB to enterprise, how deal sizes change, what Outbound can really do, is that you'll notice, like obviously with the SMB level accounts, your sales cycles are typically very, very fast. I don't know if it's hardware involved, but let's just use software, for example. Like it's typically very fast. The trust threshold is typically lower. Like if you have like a deal size, like our entry level ticket size is like probably 1.5K, very, very cheap just to run the infrastructure. And we do a pay-per-meeting model for the direct outbound side. It's super, super cheap, right? We don't really have much friction there besides people who are like, unless they're not a qualified buyer, 1 million plus, like we don't have that much friction there. But cold to close possibly in 2-3 weeks with a strong offer. It could even be like a 1-call, 2-call close. Outbound power is the highest. Strong offer can compensate for the stage. And so you notice from mid-market, right, there's multiple stakeholders, so now you get to talk to multiple people, right? Like I remember with that $14 billion company, they're not mid-market by any means, but like I talked to maybe 5-6 people. It was a lot. It was a lot. And the trust threshold is kind of medium. You need a lot more social proof. It needed mid-cycle. I mean, Outbound starts it, but the trust there and need to close above 50K is always going to be there. I mean, honestly, like, when I was at AE and working at a partner-led organization, right, like there'd be times where I'd be speaking with, my partner, and they would be like, oh yeah, like they're actually evaluating this other solution, this other solution. If we come under this amount and we offer this certain product line, I think we're going to win the deal. Oh, we didn't win the deal because we needed that trusted advisor to help us midway through the cycle, because they're also another aspect or touch point that we can leverage to help win the deal, right? Like if you're going person to person, if you're vendor to customer, that dynamic is like, yeah, they're trying to sell us everything, right? But there's always a bit of skepticism because they don't really know them. But if you have a partner in place who ideally is already working with that person or is separately meeting with them, right? Then there's that trusted advisor aspect where you can just co-sell and co-play it, where it's like, all right, like cool, like I'm gonna get all the information I need. Like, what do you really need out of this? Like, is this actually gonna help you? Because then whatnot? Like, at the end of the day, just win the deal, right? Like I people overcomplicate this. Like, at the end of the day, Like just like get the deal done, know what position you play, and play that position. There's no ego in this. If your cash is filled, if your pockets are filled with cash, my opinion, it doesn't matter how we win the deal. Obviously, ethically. But enterprise, right? Same thinking. Trust threshold is really, really high. A lot more social proof, maybe referrals. But partners kind of help mitigate that. But that trust continuum. Cold to close is almost never. Up on services the intent, relationships tend to close it, especially go really, really high enterprise, right? Like if I had like a cousin who worked at, let's say, like BlackRock, right? I'd probably be more likely to win. If I had a cousin who was a decision maker on the board, I'd be more likely to win that deal than I would be if I was Joe Schmo over there, right? This is an example. But yeah. And then, if we want to actually take the difficulty spectrum of it, let's just take it all top to bottom. Let's see. So a strong offer plus problem market plus SMB is the easiest environment for outbound difficulty, pushing an open door at a low trust threshold. So copy alone can close, offer and pay recognition do the work. Strong offer plus problem market plus enterprise. Outbound books the meeting, the org structure kind of closes it. So outbound get you in, but champions and partners can really take it and drive it home. A strong offer and solution aware market plus SMB. Offer differentiate compensates for saturation, right? So offer strength does the work. Copy alone can't in a crowded inbox. And the difference between offer and copy is offer is like what you're giving at a 5th grade level. So like, it's super frustrating when I talk to some of these guys. But like offer means like, I will help you get, let's just use lead gen. Like I will help you get 10 to 15 additional meetings per month at a pay per meeting performance basis, right? But your copy could include that. Like, hey, saw you do XYZ, blah, 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 blah. People personalize like, and think it's going to help save the shitty offer. If your offer is shitty, if you're offering a shitty, it's no one's going to buy it, right? Like, they're not going to get smoke screened or bedazzled into buying it. Like, if your thing doesn't offer a good solution to the problem that the person's having, it's going to be a difficult time selling. And so an average offer plus solution aware market plus mid-market, saturated inbox, no differentiation, multiple stakeholders. Sometimes you'll need a partner warm intro or compelling trigger event to kind of break through. And that's where you see a lot of outbound space like really go into having like the triggers, because it's super, I won't say saturated. I should stop saying that, like saturated, but like it's a lot more competitive. And so you have to get really good on timing. What you notice with partners though, is like they will sometimes surface the timing faster than these trigger events, right? Or sometimes external trigger events can't really find anything, but partners alone should probably start a conversation there. Average offer plus saturated market plus enterprise, hardest environment where cold outbound goes to die. Your partners, champions, relationships are really the only path. Outbound as a channel alone kind of falls flat here. And so 3 rules corrected for nuance, right? Awareness stage sets the baseline difficulty, right? So and what we found data-wise is stage 2 is the easiest environment for cold outbound. Every stage further right raises the bar. The bar being higher doesn't mean outbound doesn't work. It means the offer, ICP, precision, and copy have to work harder to compensate. Offer strength is the main adjuster, like I mentioned. A genuinely differentiated offer, specific trigger, precise ICP, outcome, the buyer can't get elsewhere. Can make outbound work in stages where a generic offer completely fails. Most outbound underperformance is an offer problem, not a channel problem. And so company size caps how far outbound can really take you. And that at SMB, a strong outbound motion can close. At mid-market, it opens doors and needs trust to close. At enterprise, it serves his intent, and that's his entire really job. I guess you could close it, but it's a lot more difficult. Procurement cycles and org structure determine this. No offer strength overcomes it at 100K plus deals. And so now when we go into the decision matrix, right, of like reading all these 4 variables together. If you have a large total addressable market, you're a bit more transactional, problem aware. Your total addressable market is 20K plus. Your ACV is typically below or that. Problem aware, you could typically run outbound pretty first. It's pretty easy from there. Small total addressable market, high ACV, saturated, dense ecosystem, less than 5K, 50K plus, a lot more solution aware like cybersecurity. Partners are going to be the primary channel because of the trust that's going to be needed to actually close those deals and serve those intent signals and make it very specific to certain problems. Medium total addressable market, mid ACV, problem aware, dense ecosystem, 5 to 20K, 5 to roughly 20K. I mean, it'll kind of be 5K plus, to be honest. If it's not, medium or hot, large TAM. ACV is 10 to 50K, problem aware, both compound pretty sweet spot. high average order value, saturated market, any social restaurant market, the more saturated it is, the more you're going to want to leverage partner channels just because of, again, the trust and the way that you can actually differentiate. You bring your offer to the table. Small total restaurant market, low ACV, sparse ecosystem, any awareness, low total restaurant market, low average order value. I'll be honest, like your offer's kind of cooked. I'm not gonna lie. It's gonna be hard to really kind of surface. You can make a lot of money doing that, right? But you could try outbound, sparse ecosystem, but it'd be a lot more difficult. And so, secrecy rules for the both scenario. Like let's take it a little tactical. Day 1 through 14, right? If we wanted to assume we're gonna go start the outbound and partner channels, is we build up the infrastructure to, and this is 15. It really depends on your level of domain sending. I'll be honest, like I personally send, we're about to actually, we start at 8.7K per month, and now we're going to actually bump up to now 20K emails per day. Oh, sorry, 8K emails per day. We're doing 8.7K emails per day. We're going to bump it up to roughly 20K emails per day now. 6-week warm-up starts. Ideally, this could be done in 2 weeks. We're starting to notice 3 and 4 weeks now because of Google and Microsoft spam laws. We just want to save it up. Classify first list. The outbound fires first, sequences go live, partner restaurant market scored with the 4C framework in parallel. There's another video actually on the YouTube channel about this. I can dive into this another time if we really want to. Not activated yet. Partners activate. Use first close one data as partner proof. Not only is proof that this can work, but also give leads in that compound engine to partners you want to partner with, right? So ideally, if this is assuming you already have partners, if you want to bring in partners, start it in this aspect. Build a separate list for partners you want to reach out to. Have those conversations. Typically, partners might not start coming until like day 60. Then from there, at least the partner agreements, because it should be pretty straightforward, right? But like, hey, we got this lead. Can you guys help us close this deal, right? Or can you help us close this deal or whatnot, depending on what kind of partner they are. Compound would then kick in. Pipeline then continuously compounds, right? Because now partners build trust. Because like, okay, they actually care about my business as well. Let me give back, right? The law of reciprocity, right? There's a fantastic book that I suggest everyone read, which is Influence by Robert Cialdini. And one of the laws is law of reciprocity. No matter what level of reciprocity you give, as long as you give first, you're going to tend to maybe get more back, right? And that has to say to manipulate, but the idea is you're like, give, right? Give, and the market will give back to you. In that regards to your customers, your partners, whoever it may be, just give. And so then pipeline starts compounding, right? And so I want to be very, very emphasizing this. Like everyone wants the $10, $100 million exits by tomorrow. Like I sometimes have conversations with founders who are like, yeah, like we're doing roughly like, let's say like 7 million. We want to double by next year. The year over year right now is currently we're trending 20%. Buddy, you're not going to hit 14 million. And sometimes you shoot yourself in the foot by trying to get to 14 million in, let's say, 1 year and 12 months versus trying to get to 14 million in, let's say, 2 years or 3 years. Because you're trying to skip the necessary steps in between to try to fast track success. And at the end of the day, you actually end up doing less than if you actually took the proper amount of time. Not to say don't win with speed, but if you're going to win with speed, make sure the plan is actually bulletproof. And so the compound mechanism is the outbound closes a deal, direct cold sequence, data goes to partner team as proof, while also continually sending deals to partners as well of leads, right? Partners refer similar accounts, the trust is already built, warm intros. And so you're going to notice, like, we're going to notice as we are in this day and age of AI that outbound will always be there. I'm not saying outbound is dead. Outbound is not dead whatsoever. We sell this as a service, right? Outbound is not dead whatsoever. Now, what you're going to notice, though, is the more upmarket you go, right? The more upmarket you go, and the more flooded channels of communication are going to be, the more you're going to notice that the trust arbitrage is going to have to be higher. So the reason why I'm making content, candidly, is to build trust with my audience and give as much as possible in the hopes of something of return, right? I'm not going to ask you specifically to give me something in return unless you think we can help you out. Right? But at the end of the day, like, I'm doing this to build trust, to show expertise that like this is what we're seeing. This is how you can apply this to your business, and this is how this can help you increase your revenue and whatnot. And then you associate that mental thing with me, then that's obviously we make money and then you make money and blah, blah, blah. But for partners, right? And same thing, where it's like, all right, you get a deal, you get a lead, give that partner a lead. Okay, shoot, like they care about our business too. They actually want a partnership. They don't just want us to be lead getters. And so when you do that, right, and if they're good partners, and the reason why we start building a dual engine now is because if we do direct outbound, you don't take anything from your current sales teams. And although the CAC might be a little bit higher in the beginning, but if you notice a year from now, actually, LTV to CAC is going to be much significantly higher LTV to CAC is going to be much better for the pure reason of now these partners trust you, then they're going to want to refer you more deals that maybe you didn't have to source. And that CAC for those deals are, I won't say they're not zero, but the CAC is significantly less. And the average deal size you're going to win is going to be much bigger. And you're faster to close, right? More deal velocity. So there's so many different factors you're going to notice here. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That if you're TLDR, if you're trying to figure out what kind of let me go my notes. And so if you're looking at, deciding between outbound and partnerships, I would really look at this table. What is your total addressable market, right? What is your total addressable market? Do you have a lot of people? Outbound's going to work really well for you. If you have less people, you're going to lean more towards partnerships. It's a continuum. Average deal size. I think it works for honestly on the deal size, but you're going to notice, right? Like the types of partners are going to have a little bit different. Like if you have under 10K deal size, affiliate models might work a little better. Yeah, affiliate models will typically work a little better. And then the more downstream you go, the consulting, channel partners, VARs are going to be a lot more in play, value-added resellers. Market awareness, how you position your offer not only to prospects, but also to partners as well, because you have to sell the partners on working with you. If you're the 50th cybersecurity vendor they're talking to, what makes you different, right? And that's where the partner case studies start really coming in. And then the ecosystem density, right? Like how dense of an ecosystem do you really have? Did I cover this? I probably should have. But like ICP uses 5 to 10 adjacent tools, score with 4C framework, see if the partner total addressable market is real there. If you aren't finding much partners, right, you better just do outbound. It's just a variable aspect of it. But if you don't have any partners, it's kind of hard to do a partner network if there's no partners doing it. But yeah, just the way you know is like, are there adjacent services that don't cannibalize into your own profit margins of services that you do, that you guys can partner together and be like referral partners in that aspect? Unless there's resellers in that space who do what you do or who are adjacent to the solution, be a unique solution. A lot of factors. But yeah, long story short, this is how you can decide with your outbound or partnerships or both is really going to work for you. I have more information on my website. I have more information on LinkedIn and YouTube. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed.